might have missed it again.
Oh god, man, we gotta get better at this. But anyways, that expansion is going up once again, and cannons being thrown down, so I guess if there is anything in the air that was bugging that expansion, it's not gonna let him anymore.
Yeah, it looks like WhiteRa is trying to like spread his army apart up on his concave, and he's actually putting down a proxy pylon here in the corner as BratOK puts down some turrets to stop any type of warp prisms scooting by, and setting up proxy pylons anywhere he wants.
Yeah, those turrets are up just in a nice wall right there. And this OB, oh, okay, that OB didn't fly in any further, because if it did, it would have been shot down by that missile turret.
So it looks like we finally will get our first engagement, or first major engagement, as WhiteRa comes down towards the southern end, and BratOK kind of pulls away. He leaves the Xel'Naga Watchtower active, but it looks like he's going to loop around. No, he's just shooing away that observer. WhiteRa kind of dancing off on the left side here, waiting for a good time to attack. And the Zealots charging in, not the best move. Cloak, Ghost, EMPs going off everywhere.
Holy crap, this is a slaughter right now. Not much, but I really can't tell who's winning. I think BratOK is winning this engagement. But those Colossus are doing heavy damage right now and completely cutting through Marines, but those two Colossus cannot survive against this big of an army.
Wow, those are some clutch EMPs. He hit every single spot. Ooh, High Templars on the high ground, going to town on those Marines. An EMP did go off, but this no, the feedback went off, and an auto turret comes down.
Oh wow, that was a very nice storm actually damaging, and a couple more storms coming down. These Colossus trying to cut through these Marines and Marauders, but those medvacs are actually keeping them alive just by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, they're barely staying alive, and those EMPs were just cloaked them in, ran them through, and EMP'd everything. That was just a great play right there.
That was just an awesome play. WhiteRa running away with his Zealots and his High Templars, running them back into the battle. Throws down a couple more storms to try and take out these few units. Does take out 2, maybe 3 Marauders in that engagement. I don't know if it was worth it, but he's probably going to run back to base now.
Yeah, looking at the units lost tab, WhiteRa did take a bigger hit right there, but since he is on 5 base right now, I don't think money is an object of concern to him right now.
Not at all. WhiteRa actually sitting on 2,000 minerals, 500 gas, so if he does want to spawn in 20 Zealots, he can.
Yeah, right now this infantry army is holding up better than I expected. I thought a complete slaughter from the Protoss side would occur. These Ghosts are worth their weight in gold right now.
Oh yeah, those clutch EMPs did awesome against those Colossus. But anyways, another small engagement right here. This proxy pylon allowing WhiteRa to spawn in a couple Zealots here to try and do some kind of damage, but really don't do much.
Yeah, BratOK actually doesn't have seen this pylon yet, and he can continue abusing that pylon and just keep warping in a few Zealots just to bring that army back over to deal with those Zealots until he takes that pylon out.
Yeah, exactly. WhiteRa actually heavily macroing up, throwing down as many Zealots and a few High Templars in the mix. Does have 3 Colossus now, so maybe 3 Colossus will fare better against this army.
Yeah, these Colossus, staying behind the Ghosts will be a nice EMP right there, cloaking in his Ghosts, sending them in and EMPing all the High Templars. High Templars are forced to combine into Archons, which makes them pretty useless because they have to get in really close to actually even engage that infantry army, and the Ghosts, with their extra damage to light, are just going to town on the Zealots.
Yeah, WhiteRa really needs an OB there to see those Ghosts at all, but right now those Ghosts did the damage that they needed to do, made those High Templars absolutely useless, and now sitting back.
Yeah, he forced them to combine to Archons, killed what he wanted to, EMP'd everything, and just sitting back and just macroing up. He's at a 200 army basically, and he's not really pushing out. Doesn't really want to force anything.
Not at all. The funny thing is that WhiteRa actually just spawning in a couple more Zealots and High Templars like we said earlier, and now he's going to use that to just harass up these expansion, make the whole army come back, and then WhiteRa can actually kind of flank this army with his army moving down right now.
Yeah, right now WhiteRa can get a favorable position if he can keep this army in this choke right here and let the extended thermal lances go to town, but the Zealots charging in the wrong direction kind of gets separated. And this army composition right now, he needs a lot more Zealots or some High Templars to storm in this little concave thing.
Yeah, exactly. The Colossus are actually trying to do their best right now, but this army is too spread apart for those Colossus to do much damage. It is seeming to be a slightly even exchange, but those Vikings come in and completely just decimate those Colossus.
Yeah, the unit loss won't be an even exchange because the units for WhiteRa are much more expensive, much more bulky and beefy. And just being cut down by tier 1 units is just heartbreaking.
That is the most depressing thing in the world. I think BratOK did see the pylon finally and took it out. Now there's no pylon in that area anymore.
There still is a Zealot though.
And he's going to town one by one on those missile turrets.
And we'll see how much of his troops run back to take care of that one Zealot.
Everything.
You gotta set a principle. You got one Zealot in there trying to hurt your buildings. You show him who's boss. You send the fucking whole army.
Yeah, everything being sent. I think BratOK EMP'd the area underneath the observer and destroyed the observer.
Yeah, that was a good eye. Even though this Raven was here, I think he may have just shot it down.
Possibly. I don't know. It looked like it exploded with
As
that.
WhiteRa comes again with a mass Zealots and High Templars and a few Colossus. His army hasn't been working yet, but if it fails twice, it must work the third time.
Just keep trying until it works. WhiteRa moving into the main side of all through to the production structures, but really
there's no anti-air. These Colossus are just doomed to die slowly by Viking fire. As BratOK really needs to get the army back home to take care of the Zealots before he loses too much production buildings.
the army finally flying back home, but all these Zealots they're doing the damage in these.
Oh, massive feedbacks, but the energy on these medvacs are pretty low, and he couldn't take anyone down. He just wounded them all.
That sounds funny. But anyways, the Vikings decide to land and go toe-to-toe against the Zealots right now. A whole exchange happening right now in the original natural expansion. The expansion is on fire, so it's probably gonna burn down before anything happens.
Yeah, there's not that many minerals left, but when the map is cut in half like this, you gotta get every single last bit out.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, there's just a huge army right now just spawning back up for WhiteRa back by his Xel'Naga Watchtower, if I'm not mistaken.
There are shitloads of barracks right now, so if we thought he's gonna transition into anything besides like mech or air, you're sadly mistaken.
It's just Marines and Marauders and a couple of Ghosts in the mix. It's a very, very weird play actually this late into the game, but again, like we said, it's probably just a friendly game trying out some funny ass builds.
I think BratOK just favors more infantry. Even against his Zerg matchups, he uses mostly just infantry.
Yeah, but this late in the game, you'd think that you'd want to go for something a little bit more heavy, but then again, the amount of money that he loses for the amount of units that he loses is quite, there's a huge difference actually.
Yeah, there's a 10,000 resource difference right now, and you know, if they keep exchanging like this and with the map split in half, BratOK will finish up top.
Yeah, exactly. The minerals will be mined out on WhiteRa's side of the base well before the side on BratOK's side.
Yeah, looks like he's building a fortress over here, as you got some +3s coming in for the defense and stuff.
They're just getting all the upgrades they possibly can. Tons of immortals right now. I don't know if those immortals are the best option against Marines, but really I guess he just wants to build as many units as he possibly can.
Yeah, the EMPs have been very active on BratOK's side, and I don't think the immortal is the best choice right now. Damage is good against Marauders, but once it loses its hardened shield, it becomes very vulnerable to dying. As we finally get some battle cruisers, some tier 3 units, something else besides infantry.
Skips tier 2 completely, goes straight for battle cruisers.
Yeah, Vikings.
Oh, whatever. They don't count as much.
We get another engagement, more EMPs coming down. Not really as good a spread as he had before. I think he's just forgot about him now. He's just trying to stem up and take this army on head on, but
tons of backup Colossus actually coming in. Those 2 Colossus that spawned in and just walked in this battle, and actually I think they might win this battle.
The Vikings will make short work of them. That Stalker needs to shoot a lot more faster if he wants to take down that many Vikings.
Oh man, so many Zealots coming in, all charging in head first right into this battle right now.
And Stormers coming in, laying down some storms on the medvacs, feedbacking what they can, trying to do as much damage as possible. And they try to form an Archon in front of 4 Marauders and a Ghost. Not the best idea, but what else can you do with them?
And that Archon dies well before it is spawned in.
Yeah, so I think BratOK is building a fortress here.
I think he just wants a base, a fort of some sort.
3 layers of turrets and then siege tanks.
That's
He'll never get through. That's all you gotta need.
A nice mix of that. Oh man, this is just a hilarious game right now. This Warp Prism's walking into its death, if anything.
Yeah, they were actually trying to hold that. There are no turrets there. You will warp in a few Zealots. Oh, High Templars going for another Storm drop. But this mineral field isn't that saturated. But this one over here could take
some really nice. But I guess BratOK does see this happen, and really nothing that can happen. The Archons are gonna die. That Zealot up there is dead, and that Warp Prism is dead.
Yeah, the Zealot up there is just chilling right now, waiting for his
demise.
His welcome committee right there. A few Marauders, and the battle cruisers are up with +2 weapons, and Marines and Marauders are +3 both sides, and even WhiteRa with 3 armor, 3 attack, and just 1 on shield. Rarely ever see shield being upgraded.
Yeah, no, the games never go late enough for shields to be upgraded, unless if I decide to play a 50-minute game myself.
Yeah, so these battle cruisers, once they get that Yamato cannon and just get a nice good group of them, 6 or 5, you can really start mowing down this army because it's not really anti-air.
Yeah, exactly. Everything just 1 by 1 Yamato cannon, everything to death. Do the Yamato cannons actually fire through the hardened shields? I don't know.
Yeah, it does actually. The hardened shields don't block the Yamato cannon. It does do this full damage of whatever. 300 damage. Wow, okay. It's a 1-hit KO basically.
It's a 1-hit KO on that immortal. So really, it'd be just a slaughter fest with those battle cruisers once they're up and running into the air with like a million of them. They have grabbed their island expos also, so really this has just gone down to wait until we mine out and then send our armies at each other.
But at that point, BratOK will win because he is taking a definitive advantage on his unit's lost income. And there's an EMP. He EMP'd the energy out of his own battle cruisers, so they can't be feedbacked and die very easily. That's actually a pretty smart move right there.
That's very cool actually. But then he does lose the ability to Yamato cannon. But I guess he knows that there's not many big units in this battle,
And
so
he doesn't have it researched.
Oh, there you go. That
Massive
works too.
storms dropping down on the army. WhiteRa trying to go for some economic hit right now. Just storms that army back and goes straight in for an expo. Because, you know, he knows that he can slow down the mining, he can take advantage, even though he's losing a lot of his units in every exchange, as these units have nowhere to run besides face this army.
Oh yeah, these immortals are now pushing this army back. There's only a couple immortals actually being facing that part of the army, while the rest of the army is going in for the second expo right here on the top.
Yeah, he's really trying to do some economic damage, as, you know, BratOK returns the favor with these battle cruisers coming in and just going to town on this expansion here. They will drop that Nexus soon enough, and that command center is floating away, so once BratOK cleans up this army, he can regain these expos, because I think his command centers do live. Oh, that one's going to burn down.
It's gonna try and land. Hopefully, it gets a chance to land down. But tons more storms going down. Immortals doing heavy damage to the Marauders. Maybe we might see
a self-storm right there.
What the hell just happened there? That is a misclick and a half.
I've heard of defensive nukes, but I've never seen a defensive storm, and that was one of them.
Oh, that was hilarious. That command center does go down. Those immortals just wishing that they could just aim 45 degrees up, just like the Marauders wish they do, and aim at the medvacs and the Vikings in the air.
Yeah, so BratOK has taken out one of expansions up from WhiteRa, but WhiteRa has tried to mass a nice Stalker army with Blink. These battle cruisers don't have long to live now. With nice little Blink micro pulling the weakened ones back just right there. These battle cruisers are screwed.
Yeah, and feedbacking that one battle cruiser doing heavy damage to it, and these two battle cruisers, very little HP left in them, do go down. So that was the end of the battle cruiser. I don't think there's any more battle cruisers left on the map right now.
Yeah, looking at the units tab, there are two on the field somewhere. Probably just got created. Nope, medvac's there.
That's weird.
We don't know where they are, but they're there somewhere. Oh, there they are.
There's one. They're fighting stalkers one at a time, and the whole wall of stalkers coming in to take out this one battle cruiser.
Yeah, so I think BratOK actually probably will favor this army composition against Marauders and Marines, because stalkers don't really go toe-to-toe against Marauders too well, so maybe, you know, it might help him out. With a few good EMPs, he could mow through that army. Yeah, but BratOK did take a bigger hit, losing 2 expansions and losing the mine time, but here is the equalizer.
Oh my god, those mules just coming in and completely just bringing in a huge amount of minerals per minute.
Yeah, look at that income. It jumps up to 2,000 sometimes once those mules start dropping in. And that's the advantage. He has 5-6 command centers, all with orbital commands. Now I guess you move this one away, so, you know, he's got 5 of them.
He's got enough to bring in 1 million mules at once if he wants to.